Turn that damn juice on!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Thursday, as we're going to have a lot to get to today. We're going to have a little What to Watch For, presented by BRYANT Technologies. We'll do a What's More Likely, presented by BetSaracen. Do a Question of the Day, presented by Alumni Hall. And, of course, get to all of your chats and phone calls. The phone lines will be open, at least the best of our ability. So you can call in at 478-344-6623. But, fellas, what a night it was last night. Hopefully you got plenty of rest and plenty of sleep. But how are we feeling on this Thursday afternoon?
I'm not going to lie, the adrenaline's starting to wear off. I'm kind of tired, man. But, no, still buzzing, man. That was just a really fun night. Really cool. The win, the way it went down, those guys battling adversity and everything. You beat Texas. Everything about that was just awesome, man. And it feels good.
Yeah. And honestly, I know that I'm going to regret it whenever Saturday comes around and the team looks asleep whenever it's in the first half against South Carolina. But like, I kind of like that there's the quick turnaround because, you know, just the vibes are very good. When you're feeling good the way the Razorbacks are, you're kind of excited for the next game. And so, you know, if Arkansas wins on Saturday, then they really can kick back and relax, and then we just keep this thing rolling. But I know it won't work that. I know it won't work that way.
No, there's no such thing as that. I mean, this team is going to keep us on our heels the entire time. But hey, it's fun as long as they keep succeeding and as long as they keep having wins with it. And that's what was so great about last night. And obviously with the Pot at the Palace post-game show that went really late because the game was late, and that's just kind of what happens. But it was just so fun to see the amount of fans that were buzzing after the game. I mean, it wasn't the time where it's like, oh, like the LSU game I think back to at home. It was like, ugh, it was gross. Nobody was really pumped up and excited. But everyone just knows what this team is going up against and what they have lost, obviously losing Boogie Fland and now do Thero and losing some pieces there, and then having to go to overtime when you're already shorthanded and still finding a way to win. I don't care if it's against Texas. I don't care who it's against in the SEC, especially. You just keep finding ways to win and you keep overcoming it. And, you know, maybe it's cliche to say, maybe it's just living in the moment, but you got to give a lot of credit where it's due to Cal and to this team, and, you know, whether they call it fragile or whatever, but they just refuse to lose right now. And what they're doing is just, again, you can't speak highly enough about it in the job that they're doing and how they're doing it and approaching it and everything. It's just so much fun to have that again, where I can't tell you how many people not only were at the game last night, but we're talking about the game, we're talking about it this morning. It's just good to have that culture, that vibe back with Razorback basketball.
Yeah, it really is. And it's, you roll your eyes sometimes at those cliche phrases that coach speak nonsense. You know, like, refuse to lose. I broke that one out, and that's been the motto. But then when you go out there and really see them embody it the way they have the last couple games, you're kind of like, dang, you know, sometimes you don't have to teach an old dog new tricks. Like John Calipari still can just reach into the old bag and pull these things out. Pretty impressive the way that he's, you know, kept these guys on the hook. It would have been easy for him to kind of let go when they got off to such a slow start in SEC play, and he says it, man. He's like, hey, we're grinders, right? But they are. They really are. Like, they keep having reasons to falter after they find success. Obviously losing Boogie. And then you had those tough, close losses. You think about Bama and A&M and Auburn, and you just can't get over the freaking hump. And then you get the huge win and you get over that hump, and then down goes Thero. And it's like, my God, man, like, can these dudes catch a break? And it doesn't matter. They don't care. They just continue to go out there and put in the work, and got to give Cal a ton of credit. And I wrote about this in a story last night, but I thought he put on a coaching clinic last night. I really did, from the way that he handled the substitutions, to some of the adjustments that he made with his new look lineups, some of the things that they did, everything outside of that one Trey Johnson play defensively. I thought Cal was brilliant in this basketball game. So for all the haters, I'm not even going to pat myself on the back and say you were wrong. I'll just say, go back and watch the game and watch how he coached circles around Rodney Terry, and then come back and talk to us. Cal still got it, man. Good on him.
The SEC is a league that can really just break you down. And we see it break down teams literally every single week. We see a team that just finds themselves in a game that they were not ready for, because in each given night, it's just really hard to win in this league. And, that's been the case this entire time. And I want to give Cal credit in that regard too, because he's spoken about it a lot, and it sounds like he's making excuses and he's just reminding us, hey guys, do you know how good the SEC is? He does this whole rant, but it's true. And I think he's kind of given that team that mindset where the margin for error in this league is so small, and the difference between winning and losing is just not that much. Like, Arkansas is not that different of a basketball team than they were 2 months ago when they were 0-5 and they were really struggling to get anything going in this league. But just minor adjustments, the little things add up, and you see what you can accomplish. And I think I've said it a few times now, but just going into March, I think this prepares Arkansas so much better than, a lot of the teams that they're going to be seeing when they get into that tournament, just because you're having to dig deep like this so often. Now Arkansas is kind of able to come out of the other end of it, where you look around the league, even in the same league, at some other teams who maybe were playing well early, but are now starting to get broken down, like a Mississippi State, who Arkansas is going to face here in a little bit, like even an Ole Miss, who got thumped last night. And so I feel like Arkansas maybe is just kind of in a positive trajectory, and we'll see how far they can take it. But I definitely just feel like this team has shown over the past few weeks that they're equipped to win the type of games you need to win to not only get into March, but to be a factor and be a team that teams don't want to face.
Yeah, and like, listen, I don't care what anybody says about how the game went last night. There were a lot of problems. There were issues. I mean, the fact that you saw a single player score 39 points against you, as just as unstoppable as he was, there's never such thing as a perfect game in the game of basketball. But when you see when you win, because let's be honest, if Arkansas, before you went into the game, hey, Arkansas is going to win 86-81, everyone's be like, great, yeah, it's a win, whatever it takes, it's great. But it's kind of like what we always talked about with the way this team was losing. It's the same thing with the way that they win and the way that they won last night. You'll take a win no matter how it happens. But to play so well in the first half, to have a performance like you did from Trey Johnson where the dude was just unconscious, to blow that lead that you had, that double-digit lead, to miss that free throw from DJ Wagner right into regulation to possibly win, to go into overtime with a short bench and still find a way to win. I think that's what sticks out to me as the most impressive thing, and what excites me about this team the most down the stretch is that they had so much going against them and they still just fought. They grinded, all the terms, but that's what they do. And that's what they did last night. I don't care, again, if it's against Texas or whoever. I mean, that is the type of thing where it just sets you up. And I'm using a lot of cliches. It sets you up to win in March, like when it's going to be all of the teams that may come back on you, and it's win or go home, and it's a must-win situation, and all those things. It's just proving to me that this team is good enough, mentally tough enough, and capable of weathering storms, overcoming deficits, and making the shots and making the plays when it matters the most down the stretch. And so I'm just tickled as can be. I know they still got work to do in the regular season. They got 3 games left. They got the SEC tournament and all that. But assuming this team makes it to the NCAA tournament, makes it in a good spot, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, I'm predicting a Final Four. But I wouldn't be shocked with the way that they play if they won a game or two. I just wouldn't be, assuming that this keeps going, assuming that they don't run out of gas because of how short bench they are. But where they're at right now is just such a great spot in the type of way that they're deciding to win games.
I definitely can't rule anything out with this team anymore. I mean, they kind of continue to prove people wrong. It's just the way it all went down. Like Trevin Brazile, of all people, when he's kind of at his lowest point, stepping up and delivering the way he did. Heck, just think about overtime. Like how Arkansas was able to get that done in overtime. You're going against, a dude who's having an out-of-body experience in Trey Johnson. And how do you counter it? You're dumping it into the post to Big Z. You guys ever think we would say that? Like that would be the go-to thing for Arkansas? And he's like drop-stepping and dunking on a 7-footer in there. Between that, Nelly Davis, who, we've talked about it a lot, but it's been a struggle for him to kind of get his confidence and get back to this point. He looks like that Final Four guard, stepping up, sinking the free throws. Jonas Adu, who, I mean, the dude looks like he should be playing wheelchair basketball sometimes out there. And now he's got a little bit more spring in his step, and he takes his 46% free throw percentage and goes and knocks those down. The way that just different guys are stepping up and delivering is really impressive. And you just got to give them a lot of credit. And you're right, they got a lot of work left to be done. How much gas do they have in the tank? I don't freaking know. Like, can Big Z walk this morning? I don't know. Is Thero going to be back? I'm going to say no on Saturday, but could you get him back at some point? I feel more optimistic after hearing Kenny Payne talk after the game, but it's almost like no matter what they're down to, they just continue to figure out a way to be competitive, man. And, you know, I just keep going back to Cal, and I got to give him a lot of credit for keeping these guys locked in.
You remember after Arkansas won their first SEC game against Georgia at home, and Cal was like, man, I wish I could say I'm glad I'm going through this, but I'm really not. Like, it's been tough. Like, it's been challenging this season. It's been a roller coaster, and we've kind of all been challenged. And he's like, but I think I'm going to be a better coach because of this, and I think the players are going to be better players. And so to that point, Curtis, like, the way this weird story is played out, you have Boogie going down. You now have a Thero going down when he did. You have the short rotation. You have this guy slumping, this guy playing well. It's forced so many different characters to have to step up. I mean, Trevin Brazil was the hero last night. Big Z has obviously had his share where he's had to be the guy. DJ Wagner made a few clutch buckets. He just kind of always does, seems to have that knack for when he needs to make the right play. And you're right. Like, you go on down the line, it's that way for everyone. And that kind of forces your team to just have a different level of confidence, different level of swagger about them. And guys are excelling in their roles. And so once you can maybe get a Thero back, then all of a sudden you're just like, man, now we have all these guys that are overqualified for their roles. They're feeling good. You're going into March, and we'll see how far they can go. But it's just about being dangerous and feeling like you're in every game. And I think this team at this point certainly feels like they're in every game.
I want to say real quick about just the resiliency of this team. If you think back to that Michigan game, like that was the first big time win that Arkansas got. And you had Trevin Brazil, who missed those free throws, right? And it was like, dude, that's, you know, that was he played a good game. He missed those free throws and put Arkansas in a tough spot, but he didn't let it affect next play. And then he gets that big block on the next possession. It was one of the game sealing plays. Nelly Davis didn't play good that entire game. And then Michigan draws up the inbounds play at the very end, and he winds up getting beat on the back door, hustling, recovering, deflecting that basketball, making a defensive play, sucked on offense, didn't let it impact the other end of the game. DJ Wagner last night, like he misses the go-ahead free throw at the end of regulation. He misses another key free throw in overtime. Right after that, he comes up with that key steal against Trey Johnson, and that was an X factor in sealing the win. These guys are doing a really good job of staying mentally tough in the moment and not letting mistakes double down or one mistake become two. And it's interesting because we've questioned at times like, well, who is the leader? Like, who is the alpha on this team? I just still don't know the answer to that question, but what I will say is for the most part, these guys are showing a lot of individual resiliency, and that's really important when you're in a position like this where every game is such a do or die thing.
I love coaching this team.
He does.
Yes.
He actually does love coaching this team. That's what they say. So, but yeah, I love the fact that this is the position that like we're in, and we're talking about here on Inside Arkansas and Pod at the Palace, where it's no longer about, well, you know, could this team do this? Could this team do that? You know, well, here's what they got to do. It's like now you know, before the game, you felt pretty confident about if the tournament started yesterday, yet you're in the tournament. Now it's like, oh, no, we're in the tournament. We're in the tournament. You just got to now work your way up to getting seeded. Obviously, they go 0-3 the next 3 games, then, you know, maybe that changes things. But I was looking at the reality of how they're playing and who they're playing and what's set up. They don't even have to go 3-0 down the rest of the stretch. I mean, it'd be great. It'd be nice if they did. But, you know, that Vanderbilt game's really tough. And that's another thing, too, guys. And I know you guys know this, but, you know, Arkansas with games against like a Mississippi State and a Vanderbilt left, those are teams that are just slightly ahead of them in the SEC standings, just slightly. So if you take care of business in those games and then take care of business in South Carolina, I think I did my math correctly, but I probably didn't. But I believe that Arkansas, best case scenario, if they won out, could finish 7th in the SEC at the end of the regular season. Again, maybe I did my math wrong, but that's what it looked like to me, which would be insane. Yeah,
it would take a lot of help elsewhere, but yeah, I think like Kentucky's still, you know, within reach, which would be hilarious. But that would be tough. Like you'd have to win out and they'd have to lose out. Or I guess if you finish in a tie, you'd have the tiebreaker since you beat them. And yeah, but I think they're a game behind right now, both Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. And it's interesting because your final 3 games, you play the last place team in the conference, and then you get head to heads versus both of those teams. So it's very realistic that, these dudes were in the gutter of the SEC after a month of league play, and they could finish in the top half of this conference, which would be quite an achievement for how good the SEC has been, man. And we'll see if they get there. I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I kind of like where they're at right now. I know it's 11th, and you're just kind of like, oh, well, congratulations on 11th in a 16-team league, but it's got them matched up with Oklahoma right now in the first round of the SEC tournament. I want to run it back with the Sooners so bad.
That's a great point right there. And really, honestly, I'm excited about that possibility because I think getting the easiest win, getting like the easiest win that will actually maybe help your resume is probably the goal for the SEC tournament. And that could come in the 7 seed, that could come in the 9, that could come in the 12. We'll just see how it plays out. But also, if you just go back to non-conference and think about how many like stupid game, like the Baylor game, which in hindsight didn't seem like that big of a deal. It's like, yeah, but you could have won that one too. And so there's a lot of games that Arkansas wishes they could have back. So let's just we'll see if they can get one of those back in the tournament. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I just like being a threat. Like if Arkansas say if Arkansas won out, say if they got to like the 8-9 seed spot, which I think could absolutely happen. How pissed off whoever gets matched up in that 1 seed spot. I mean, Arkansas's got to win that 8-9 game, but that 1 seed's gonna be like, are you kidding me? We got to face Arkansas, and like that's just such a cool feeling. I know that you got to win, you got to take care of business and all that, and there's more important things in that. But I just like having that. And same thing when the SEC tournament comes around. If Arkansas ends up being like you said, Curtis, a matching up against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's gonna be like, are you kidding me? This is our first game. We got to play Arkansas the way they're playing and all that. That's what you want to be. That's what you want to have. Not catching a team when they're at their worst or playing their worst. Catching the team when they're playing their best is what nobody wants, and that's a great feeling for Arkansas right now.
Yeah, you always wonder about catching those teams who maybe they faltered non-conference or early in their league play like Arkansas did, but the ones who are red hot at the right time. I'll do my numbers nerd thing again. Like I hopped over on Torvik and crunched the numbers. February is over in terms of Arkansas basketball, and they played like the number 17 team in the country in the month of February with the number 5 defensive efficiency in the country. Their offense, which is like 79th or whatever for the season, was 55th in the month of February. So still not great, but significantly better than it has been for the year. They're playing good ball, fellas. They really are. And I don't think anybody wants to see them right now. That doesn't mean they're a perfect team and a finished product and that they're just going to win out here like some kind of buzzsaw or whatever, but nobody is excited about seeing the Razorbacks on their schedule. And to your point, John, it feels good, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it absolutely does. I'll tell you what, we'll get to your chats as well as some other things too. And we want to remind everybody that we're presented by What to Watch For, presented by BRYANT Technologies. Listen, they're dedicated to delivering that high quality network infrastructure and security camera solutions to each and every one of you. And they take pride in their exceptional workmanship as well as the commitment to your business operations seamlessly connected and to keep it also secure. Whether it's structured cabling, security camera installation, digital signage, TV mounting, I mean, they do it all and they have you covered and they do the best job. And, a lot of these cases, you're like, I could do it myself. But then something gets screwed up, something's not right. And then you can only blame yourself. Well, they don't have to worry about it. When you do it with BRYANT Technologies, they'll take care of it for you. And they're going to help you with all of your network and security needs. So call them today. 870-883-0330. That's 870-883-0330. You can also check out their website at BRYANTStechnologies.com with that S in between, BRYANTStechnologies.com, where they service not only Arkansas, but the bordering states of Arkansas. It's BRYANT Technologies, quality work guaranteed. Let's get to some of these chats, and we'll also have some fun videos to play dealing with the Razorback basketball team. But shout out to our guy, Dre. Says, sun shines a little brighter, air smells a little sweeter when the Hogs sweep Texas. And the sex is better. Remember that. Sex is better.
I'm glad you said it, because if you didn't, I was going to, but I was definitely going to credit you.
Yeah. Because listen, if you don't get anything from that Vice documentary, just take that one completely out of context clip that I said from that. And yes, the sex is better. But yes, everything is better, though, when everybody's in a good mood. The weather's getting nicer. It's just... everything's great right now for Razorback fans, and it's about time. JP Sullivan, our guy, says, hook 'em down. Yes. Girlfriend made me watch Survivor before I could watch the game. So I was 2 hours behind, missed the live show. So here you go. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you, JP.
I mean, you're a good man. You're a good man. You couldn't even have it like on your phone with the volume down or something. I feel like there's a compromise to be had there, but good on you for prioritizing the relationship. Might have hurt in the moment, but for your long-term sanity and safety is probably a good move.
I kind of want to know if he was able to successfly pull it off. Like, did you have the score spoiled for you by the time you got to watch the game, or like, were you kind of just watching like War Machine to catch up, or like, did you? Because if you didn't find out the score, it's honestly not that bad of a situation.
No, not at all. In fact, and I'll say this, JP, and this is not an insult. I'm just an observation. You are now the second person I know in my life that actually still watches Survivor. My buddy Devin, in fact, was talking about before the game. He's like, I may have to put my phone up on the screen, and I'm driving back to Little Rock tonight to watch the season premiere. And I'm like, you're weird because I don't know anybody that watches Survivor, but I guess it's still a thing. But shout out to you, JP, for making it work. Also, our guy Quinn, appreciate you, Quinn, for the super chat. He says, watching Trey Johnson last night reminded me of what Kaluma did against us earlier in the conference season, what nightmares are made of. Yeah, we're going to use this part of that for that Alumni Hall question of the day, but man, that was insane what that dude was doing last night.
Yeah. And so I'll save my thoughts on Trey Johnson for that question of the day. I will say, I remember that game, Quinn, and that's why I've been so weary of Kaluma every time Arkansas has played Texas, because he put like 35 on Auburn early there in SEC play, and they almost beat him. And that's just like what that dude is capable of. Or he's also kind of capable of what he did last night, which is just kind of exist out there. I know he finished with 14 points, but he was very inefficient and seemed like he might have been a little bit more of a liability out there at times as opposed to an asset. He is the most peaks and valleys basketball player I remember seeing in the last few years.
Dude, he was like
Trey Johnson is not, but
Kaluma was like a real prospect, like a potential first rounder at one point when he was at was that Creighton where he was at?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was like a legit thing there. But yeah, Trey Johnson, very good at basketball. Like that kid at Oklahoma, Fears, who's projected to go like top 10. Trey Johnson's better than him.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No question.
Yeah. I mean, it was insane. We'll talk about that though here in just a little bit, but also shout out to our guy, Garrett McCollum. He says, Arkansas getting banged by the net is the third certainty of my life. Give me Torvik or give me nothing at all, Curtis.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you. And like, I understand that the math is nuanced, and I know that it's not really considering head to heads and everything when it goes through its algorithm, but it's almost like they value close road losses more than they value close home wins.
Yeah.
And it's at some point, I just feel like the results have to matter. And like, I'm not sitting here today irritated in the net thing. There were some key metrics on that team sheet that Arkansas needed to improve in, and they did a lot, like their wins above bubble, KPI, their strength of record, all of those went up by 3 to 5 spots, and now you're really looking good. But here's my thing in the net. If Texas was 39 and Arkansas was 40 going into this game, they played head to head, they had exactly identical resumes coming in. Arkansas beats Texas, at the very least, shouldn't they just flip spots? Like, shouldn't that just be an automatic? Like, you at least flip spots. I don't care that they didn't move up a ton, but Arkansas should at least be ahead of them, in my opinion.
I mean, listen, you need to take that up with the computer. Take that up with the hard drive.
I've been yelling at it all day.
When the algorithm was there. And at the end of the day, like the net is such a value. I mean, it's the reason we cite it. I know some people that are just like super anti-net. They're like, why do y'all even cite it at all? It's something that we are told that they use. It's like a real metric, but at the end of the day, it is literally a computer.
It's on the team sheet. Like I see Quicks in the chat. He says the net is a sorting system. It is, but it sorts teams in order based on, their resumes and their quadrants and who they beat, who they lose to, and where it happens. So where you're at in that pecking order, it does matter. And it's one of the things that they evaluate. At this point, I just think it's silly that Arkansas is not ahead of Texas.
Yeah. I don't understand it at all, but that's where I'm just like, what was, again, another cliche I'm going to throw out there, even though I don't even know what cliche I'm trying to say, but whatever. It's like things will happen for a reason, or things are going to happen as they should, whatever that crap is. You just do that. And, Arkansas, just keep winning, and you don't have to worry about net rankings or anything. Just keep winning, and you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. Also, before, because I know we got someone on the phone lines, if you can believe it. But before we did that, I know, last night, our guy, Mark Arnold, once again, just so awesome to super chat us $500. I mean, this is multiple times he's done this, and we appreciate it so much. And Curtis and Andrew, I know you all talked about how much you appreciate it too. But Curtis, sometimes we don't see all the chats that happen in something when you got like 8,000 people watching, so it's hard to get to it. But I know that you brought up that you did find a chat because people were asking him questions of why he does this from last night, and I was going to see if you wanted to share that.
Yeah, no, for sure, because it kind of blows us away when people send those hefty, super chats like that. And again, like it's not like we're on here with our hand held out, like begging for whatever, but man, we certainly do appreciate it when people want to do that. And I know some folks see that and they're like, why? Like what, why would you do that? Like that's your money. Are you wasting it? Like what's really going on? But we did find the chat from him afterwards when people were asking that question. I think it's a fair question to ask. And Mark just said, guys, I give because I know that these guys have stepped out and bet on themselves. People don't realize how hard that is to do. And I hope these guys make it, just trying to do my part to help them. That was awesome, man. That really means a ton. And he did a great job of summing it up, because it's sometimes it's hard for me to kind of put into words or to really rationalize, like when people, donate their money from their jobs to us doing ours. And like, we have other ways that we're able to generate revenue and everything like that. Otherwise, there's no way we'd be able to do this. But man, that just really means a ton. And for him to be, donating to the cause for those reasons, that's just really cool. And I wanted to make sure that we address that today, because certainly appreciated.
We've gotten some really cool messages, or just people reaching out lately. I know we got an email the other day that really, I hit home.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Did we ever determine, by the way, if Mark Arnold worked at the U of A? Not that it matters. Not that, I mean, obviously we appreciate it anymore, but I just was interested because I was like, man, if he does work at the U of A, he better watch out. He's gonna have a red dot on his forehead.
Yeah,
they're gonna be freaking out soon.
Not confirmed. I will say this. I mean, like, I think professors are fairly well compensated, but I don't know if a U of A professor is making that kind of coin, man. I don't think so, then like we're talking tenure and everything else. But no, I don't think we've got it confirmed. But whoever you are, wherever you are, we appreciate you, and everyone that contributes to super chats, everyone that's just in here rocking with us every day, interacting, engaging in the chat, or if you just listen. That's okay too. Well, we appreciate all of you. We really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We do. And and because you brought the email, and that was a perfect segue. And I know, we'll get back to your chats and everything, folks, but I think this is important too. But we got an email from a person who listens to us all the time by the name of Derek Garduno. And he was somebody that actually just, because we get a bunch of message, whether Twitter, Facebook, or whatever, but this was an email. And he is somebody that just reached out and was talking about how much he enjoys watching us. And he says he watches us every day because he's actually at home battling stage 4 small cell lung cancer and is having to go through chemotherapy, which is awful. And he says that watching us makes his day a little brighter, which, man, that's hard. How do you not get emotional about that when you hear something like that? And I mean, it's just awesome. And so, we really appreciate him and what he's going through, and prayers and thoughts are with you, my man, because I can't even imagine what that's like going through it. But I did want to give a shout out to that he does have a GoFundMe page and a fundraiser to try to help himself out. He was actually even at one of our Tin Roof shows and back in the day of Natty State.
Oh man.
So I mean, he's dedicated. But if you I'll tweet out the link. They're needing $8,000 as their goal. And, it's just for his daily expenses and everything, but he's a Razorback fan. He's a fan of ours, and it's simply called Help Derek Garduno with Daily Expenses. And like I said, I'll tweet the link out, but shout out to him and thoughts and prayers with you, Derek. We're with you. We're fighting with you. We're fighting for you. And you keep fighting it just as well as the Razorbacks, man, because, they want you to be there at games once again. And we want you to continue to hang out with us and watch us and be in full spirits, man. So keep fighting. That's all we can say for you.
Yeah, keep fighting the good fight. If you can, and have the ability to help that cause, do that. I will be. I didn't know about that GoFundMe, so yeah.
Well, yeah, that's big time stuff, man.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. We'll continue on with a phone call. Well, got to give our guy Dre a chat, man, because he's one of our guys. Appreciate you as much, Dre. I saw him last night. He was a stress ball like I was during that game. But he says, I feel the same way as an entrepreneur. It's not easy, but I love the hustle. We appreciate it, Trey, for sure. We appreciate you and appreciate everybody. I mean, it's to say it's been easy it would be lying because it has not been easy, but we know it's worth it. And we know we got something great cooking here and working, and not only because of what we believe in ourselves, but also seeing how many of you believe in us too. And that means a lot. So we appreciate all the support that everybody gives us. That's for sure.
John, did you get that cigarette that you became a meme over tweeting about, or?
No, I did not. No.
Okay.
I did get the cigarette, man. I it's like, that's the thing is sometimes on Twitter, I don't even know what to think sometimes, but man, they just, threw around because I was just like, I need a cigarette after this game. And suddenly I get put in this quote thing and I have this black and white photo made of me. I don't know. Whatever works, I guess. I'll take it. But it's just, no, I did not get the cigarette though. I did not get the P-Tizzle, which everybody is now like, you're welcome Prime Times for the free plug. Because now everyone's talking about P-Tizzles and grape flavors and whatnot. So sheesh, man. All right, we'll play a few videos, but he's been patiently holding, and we got to get to him. He's been patiently holding. Let's go to the phone lines. We got Trey who's in Harrison. What's up, Trey?
How's it going, boys? Jesus Christ, between the Tennessee game in football and that game last night, I think I lost 30 years of my life.
That would put you at like negative 18, wouldn't it? Or something like that.
The good news is you still have plenty.
Yeah.
Well, if it keeps going like this, it may be sooner than I want it to be. But I have a hypothetical.
Okay.
It combines the big three. Which has the biggest impact? Arkansas beating Texas in the game of the century in 1969 to win the national championship, or Nolan Richardson winning his back-to-back against UCLA in the 95-96 season, I think it was. And then this one is still a fresh wound. Arkansas doesn't drop the foul ball and wins the College World Series. Which one has the biggest impact?
Y'all know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. We appreciate the phone call, Trey. Also, you should have you meant to meet up with me at section 119 at the top because you tweeted at me, said you're going to do it and you didn't. So it's on you. But anyways, yeah, I was up there waiting like an idiot on my phone. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead. Like I don't know about y'all, and I think
it's a great question, by the way. Let's go ahead and say that. Great question.
It is a great question because, but to me, it's you can say it's recency bias or whatever, but I still feel like that. I mean, I don't know. It's the 2018 foul ball definitely would have changed so much of the baseball program in general, because I don't even know if Dave Van Horn would still be coaching right now if he had won that. I'm just being honest, but also Nolan Richardson winning back-to-back national championships. That could have really. I don't know, because that's such a tough one.
How many times does that happen in college basketball? Like 4?
I mean, modern college basketball, it's only happened.
I'm sure UCLA did it.
Duke did
it.
Yeah, UConn just did it. So it's probably happened, but it's not a super long list.
No.
It's when you do that. Like if you get back-to-backs coupled with the amount of Final Fours that they've had, like we would have been doing I'm not saying they would have been cemented, but the conversation would have had to be had. Like, is Arkansas a blue blood in college basketball? Like when Villanova, like when Jay Wright started going on his run, that conversation started to happen. You had to really stop and think about it for a while. Like the potential was there for that to, really be like a program altering thing on a national scale. I would probably go there, but I was always going to pick the basketball one anyway. I will say, and I was real young, with the basketball stuff, and I wasn't even alive during the football deal. I felt no worse pain in my life around a sporting event than that drop ball. Like, I mean, nothing worse, man. So
that was heartbreaking. Weirdly enough, the baseball guy here is about to say that that's the third option here, only because how much would it have really changed? Obviously, Dave Van Horn would have a national title, and I agree with your point that like maybe he would be closer to wanting to retire. But would it have really changed everything that much? Because I think they're eventually like now. Here's the thing: if they don't end up winning a title ever, and we're in like 30 years, we're looking back, then maybe I'll feel differently. But like, I feel like the program has been very good since then and would have been good even if they had caught it. Like, I don't know if it really would have had the ripple effect that the other two might have. Guys, I got to be honest. I'm inclined to go football simply because, one, I wasn't alive, so I can't really speak to what the world was looking like back then. But only because Texas football is such a big brand. Not saying if you win that game, you become that brand, but just to know how much Texas football is a national, really like universal brand. I feel like winning that game and how big of a deal it was back then, you can make an argument. Maybe it would have made Arkansas a little bit more of a shiny football program. Who knows what kind of ripple effect that would have had. Basketball is probably that's a good one. It kind of checks both boxes, but I feel like the program probably would have fallen off after Nolan either way.
Yeah.
Or do you think maybe they would have been able to hire someone like cooler?
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing is like with Nolan, what, like you said, like with the national champion, if they won that one extra game, obviously for his legacy and the Arkansas legacy, it would have been different. But would the stuff with Nolan really have changed? Like would the falling out really have changed? I don't think so. So that's the only thing I'm hesitant on that part. But yeah, I mean, because you think about it too, the coaches that have national championships are so few, but there's so many that have just one. I mean, Cal's one of them and has just one. And it sounds crazy, but that's where it is. To have two really just sets yourself apart from so many other great coaches. But think about Jim Boeheim has one. Tom Izzo has one. Like these are so many iconic coaches that just Bill Self. Well, I guess he has two now, but still. I think he's got two. Yeah. So it's just, but that just shows you how tough it is. But to have two would be insane. It really would be. So good question, Trey. We appreciate you.
That was a great hypothetical there.
And freaking Quinn, man. Freaking Quinn. Thank you, Quinn. Like, appreciate you, dude.
Quinn's a good dude. I really wish Quinn was an Arkansas fan.
I know. What is it going to take for us? Like, if we give you your money back, will you become a Razorback fan?
Or at least, like lived in Fayetteville. I really enjoyed hanging out with Quinn at Auburn. It's good people right there. And a ball knower. And not just Auburn. That's what I was most impressed about. Because after the show at Mama G's, we sat there for a couple hours and had lunch and hung out with Quinn. And our guy was well versed in like the history of Arkansas sports and former coaches and things that went down and players from back in the day. I mean, he was on it. Kind of a brilliant mind of sports knowledge there. I was really impressed.
Yeah.
You can always respect like regardless of the fan base and regardless of even like if they, there's some Razorback fans who I might not agree with everything they say, but there's just something to be said about someone who lives and breathes it. Like clearly Quinn does, like even some of the Kentucky fans that we've interacted with. And then of course, all these Razorback fans, like it's there. You can always kind of tell when you got a real one.
Yeah. I mean, Quinn was awesome. Enjoyed hanging out with him and appreciate him because again, he's an Auburn fan. It's not like, Razorback fans because they love us talking Razorbacks. Like this dude is an Auburn fan and he is doing this. So really appreciate you, Quinn. You're an awesome dude, man. And again, anytime when you come to the Arkansas Razorback Auburn Tiger football this fall, and we'll have dinner and drinks on us. We'll take you out.
Be a doozy in Fayetteville.
Yeah, it should be. So yeah, really appreciate you. And also, hey, Nolmer. I cannot stop thinking about Terry's glasses.
He was disappointed also that we didn't really react more to him saying that he looked like Mace Windu. Here's the problem with that. I honestly don't remember what Samuel L. Jackson looked like at the Revenge of the Sith premiere. I remember Mace Windu. I remember Revenge of the Sith, which by the way, coming to theaters in like a month. But I don't remember what Samuel L. looked like at that premiere.
I couldn't tell you either, to be honest. So, but it's still funny because he's still hung up on it. That's all that I really care about. So, but yeah, appreciate you either way. Also, White Boy 501 says, "Hey Curtis, now that we have the most of the season under us, how do you compare Muss offense versus Cal, and whose would you prefer?"
They both get on my nerves, man. Just like both of them need to modernize. Like it's weird at in the year of our Lord 2025 to just not place any value on the 3-point shot. I just don't get it. So they're very much the same from that standpoint. I gotta say though, Cal is, he's like low key drawing up some banger, like the half court stuff. you could probably miss me with either one of them. But in terms of the, letting the chalk talk a little bit, Cal has really impressed me. I got to be honest. I was really, I appreciated some of the things that he did yesterday, because it's tough, man, in a 2-day time frame to lose a guy like Thero, who's such a unique player, and have to just kind of like reinvent yourself the way that they did. He took great advantage of having 2 shooters in the front court to space the floor, the way that opened up driving lanes. I love that they put an emphasis on looking for their roll man in ball screen action and dumping it down in the post and letting those guys go to work a little bit. And I know people get irritated about some of the struggles that Arkansas has at times, like inbounding ball against the press or whatever, but they weren't turning it over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was drawing up different looks every time. And, if you didn't have it, you call a timeout. That's what you do. Like, it's not like the other team's not trying to defend you. That's kind of their goal, is to not let you inbound it. And he had a bunch of different looks that he went to, and it worked out. So Cal is like, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's, a wizard, at this stage of his career, but he can still draw it up, man. He is better with the chalkboard than I thought he was coming into this, based on what we were told.
Yeah. Hard to overstate also that, like, I think the highest rated offense Arkansas had in those tournament stretches under Muss was like 53rd or 54th in efficiency nationally. So it's not like there was a super high bar. And so Arkansas is actually a little bit behind that in terms of the overall season. But the last month or so, really, I guess since Boogie's been out, like, Arkansas has been, what did you read? You said they were like around that 50-55 range 55, offensively, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. In the month of February. And so, yeah, they're kind of like right in track statistically with some of those Muss teams for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll get to a few other segments too, but I want to bring this up. It's our guy, Derek Garduno. He says, he's in the chat. He says, y'all are amazing. Thank you. Well, we appreciate you, man. He said, I just tweeted out the link for your GoFundMe. And I said, hopefully you can fight through this, man, and get back to your real life. Cause I know you're looking forward to doing that again. I can't imagine. So
just a matter of time, man. We're glad you're here.
Yep, really absolutely. All right, so we'll get to more chats here in a bit too, but let's keep it moving and get to our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall. Again, we're going to be there a week from tomorrow, live, right before the Mississippi State game on Friday at noon. So come on out and see us. We'll have some gift cards to give away, as well as some really cool stuff to show off. But if you go to insidearkansas.com/alumni hall, you'll be able to shop them online, have it all shipped directly to your door. In fact, guys, do you guys remember those older Razorback fans that we were hanging out with at the KS bar that were Cal's friends? They reached out to me and they're like, we need Razorback gear and we want to know where to go. Do you know of a place? I'm like, well, by George, I do.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, go to Alumni Hall. And so they went to InsideArkansas.com, Alumni Hall, and they got all this stuff and they love it. So check it out today. Men, women, kids, everything, the nicest and greatest of all Razorback apparel. It's Alumni Hall, the ultimate Razorback shopping experience. I'm just curious of what you guys thought about this, as well as the chat and everybody watching. With Trey Johnson going for 39 points last night and he was unconscious. Obviously, Arkansas got the win, and that's all that matters. But what would you say is the greatest performance you've ever seen from a Hog opponent in any sport? It could be baseball, football, basketball, anything. But what's the greatest performance from the opposing individual player that you saw with the Razorbacks?
Listen, what we saw last night was up there. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. What Trey Johnson is doing as a freshman, that's what you hope Cal gets out of one of these guys at some point, because he's going to recruit at such a high level. And like, I'm not saying that Malik Thomas or Darius Acuff is going to come in and be Trey Johnson, but that's the level at which he's recruiting, and it would be awesome to have a guy like that. He was really, really impressive last night. I'll go basketball here, and I'll go just recently of like games that I've covered, and I think about Antonio Reeves when Kentucky came in here and didn't have any guards, and Reeves went for, I think, 37 in that game. And Muss was just like, he's the best player I've ever seen. I don't know what's going on here. They had nothing for him. I remember it's different, a different type of dominance, but Shibwe would just come in, just get those monster doubles. And it was just so irritating because it doesn't matter how good a defense you played. He's just going to get every single rebound. So it's a little bit different from that standpoint, but those are a couple right off the top that stand out to me. But yeah, I mean, Trey Johnson's got to be up there.
We got to give Jody Meeks his flowers, of course. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I can think of another basketball one of like that level. There's been a lot of really good players, but I'm trying to think of like individual performances. Baseball I also was having trouble finding like individual ones as much as DeLuca for Ole Miss in 2022 just absolutely shoved it up Arkansas's ass in the College World Series in elimination game. I think he went like 8 innings and he was like on short rest or something like that. It was like 4 days rest and he threw like 100 pitches in an elimination game. That was big time. One that sticks out to me, football. So Arkansas's faced like whoever the best SEC quarterbacks are or whatever, like Arkansas's faced them all. There's one performance that sticks out to me. So you remember everyone always talks about the game where Ryan Mallett got hurt and Tyler Wilson came in and threw for 300 yards. And it was awesome from the Arkansas side. Do y'all remember what happened on the other side of the ball? Cam Newton put up 65 on that 2010 Arkansas defense, which, by the way, outside of that game was not a bad defense. Like they were like, basically a league average SEC defense, but like they weren't like a historically bad one. He ran for 188 yards and 3 touchdowns and only had to throw 14 times. But he had 140 yards and a touchdown. Like I feel like Cam Newton in college was one of those, like it was hard to believe that a player like him existed.
Yeah, no, I do remember those. Jody Meeks was probably going to get my vote up until last night because I went back and looked at that Jody Meeks for Kentucky. The dude he played 37 minutes, went 17 of 24, 7 of 12 from 3, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 45 points. I mean, that's about as efficient as it goes. But I guess why last night I may have put above it, even though he had less points, is because going into the game, you knew he was the best player on that team. You knew that he was capable of going off on you, and you still couldn't stop him. So it's like that to me might be because Jody Meeks was a good player. I'm not saying, but Kentucky had a lot of good players. I remember James Sutherland of Syracuse in that game in 2012 or 2013 coming into Fayetteville, scoring 35 points because he hit 9 of 13 from 3. But that was just a one-off game. But you got Trey Johnson coming in there, who everyone knows is the best player, and he still gets his. That's about as impressive as it gets.
There was a point where they showed it, and it was like in the second half and overtime, he had like 27, and the team around him had like 12 or something like crazy. It was like he was carrying them like a crazy amount. Trey Johnson.
Yeah, I think the graphic said it was in the second half and in overtime, he had 22 points, I think, and 27 points, and the rest of the team combined had 27 points, something like that.
Yeah, something crazy. By the way, I can't believe I let this one slip. The guy from TCU, Trey Richardson.
I was about to bring him up.
Yeah, man,
went crazy. He had like 3 home runs on the year, and then hits like 4 in the weekend, and just went crazy. Had 2 grand slams in one game. Unreal.
Yeah. It's something about people named Trey. You just need to get away from them, man. Don't want to be around. But I was also going to say for baseball, I don't think he was necessarily as dominant as what Trey Richardson was, but I remember Jake Berger. I felt like that dude was killing it.
Missouri State.
Yeah, Missouri State. And also, as much as they hated the guy.
You know who was his hitting coach, John?
I do know.
Nick Thompson was his hitting coach.
Yeah, they need that Jake Berger because he looked like a burger. But also, let's be honest. Rock Reggio in that Oklahoma State was pretty insane too.
Yeah,
you stopped him at the end, but man, that dude was insane of what he was doing.
Or Hagen neutered him.
Yep, that's exactly right. Just put him in a blender there.
I've seen a few people bring up that Wade Taylor game when he had 41 at Bud Walton Arena. I don't count that though because he was 13 of 32.
Yeah,
from it's a lot of points, but Buddy was just chucking it. 32 shots is insane.
Better in the game.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, T Mark had 35 in that game. Yeah, he's 8 of 15, 17 of 22 at the free throw line. Tremont Mark. Wow.
Yeah. Last night he was trim off the mark.
Yeah, yeah.
I almost got to the point I didn't feel bad necessarily, but good grief, he was awful. And that's 2 back-to-back games. He was awful, and then he was the boo this guy on for the students and everything. So it was rough. It was really rough. But golly, Quinn, my man, you got to relax, dude. But we appreciate it so much. He said, "Sports is my life. No money could ever make me not be an Auburn fan. Graduate from Auburn, been a fan for like 23 years of my life. My love and fandom for Auburn, even Auburn alums, and say it's borderline unhealthy, but Auburn and sports have helped me get through life." Well,
Yeah.
We appreciate you regardless, even if you're an Auburn fan.
We're going to continue working on that, though.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll take 24 years to get you to flip, but one of these days.
Yeah. We're going to be coming at you like John Calipari and Nick Ament. Like we're going to be, we're going to be visiting you in Auburn every time Arkansas comes to town, sitting you down, be like, so what's it going to take here? Like, what do we got to do to make this happen? So, but no, we really appreciate you, Quinn. Appreciate everybody hopping in with us here today. Also, let's see a few other chats because I want to play these videos too, which is pretty great. Our guy Dre said, appreciate you, Dre. Says, what players on the roster now could we see again next season?
Carter Knox, Billy Richmond, DJ Wagner, Zvonimir Ivicic.
Oh, Big Z would be sick.
Some combination of those four.
That'd be fun. I'm honestly asking, what does Trevin Brazil do?
I always forget about him.
I guess he's got a year of eligibility left.
Yeah, he does.
He does, yeah.
Does he come back or does he move on? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
No clue. No clue. But I just always got to throw it out there because he is there.
That question might answer itself in the next couple of weeks.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. It may not have to be a question that's good answer.
Trevin does love being a Razorback, like genuinely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, obviously he does. He's had many opportunities to leave, coaching changes, team changes, injuries, all of that, but still keeps coming back.
Curtis, you remember how good his vibes were down the stretch that year where he was injured? But like down the stretch when he was around the team in the tournament and everything, and he was like, low key, I might suit up today. Like you just really got the feel that like he loved being a Razorback then.
Yeah, for sure. He seemed kind of salted last night. I'm not gonna lie, but did you guys listen to the post game?
Oh yeah.
I'm just being honest.
When Cal brought him up in front of the team either.
No, he didn't.
No. In fact, I tell you what, we'll let's go ahead and play that video because there's a couple of them from last night that we got to play. But yeah, check this out as far as a post game in the locker room for Arkansas and John Calipari.
Look, I want you guys, like, I knew he'd be a difference in this game. Give him a hand. That was he made those. Hey, how about Nelly making all those free throws? Here's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how. We just got to refuse to lose.
Trevin wasn't having it.
Really wanted to go sit down.
Yeah. That's which is, I don't know, just kind of funny, but still just, I don't know, weird because you feel like after a game you'd be hyped up and excited about all of it, and it's just kind of like, okay.
I think he might have just been exhausted. I mean, the dude played 40 minutes. He might have just been like, look, I need a breather, bro.
But
I'm not doing the mental gymnastics here. He did not want to be at that post game interview.
No.
Dude.
No,
he's always been a little, like whatever with the media thing, but it was like one sentence answers, and he's just like,
yeah, because what did he even? I think he said something to the extent of it was just, I just finally got minutes and got to, have my opportunity. It was almost like, yeah, I could do this anytime. It's just I never got to play much.
Pretty much. Which,
yeah.
In a way, I appreciate that actually. Of like, because people go up there and do the cliche thing and be like, oh yeah, whatever coach needs me to do, I play my role and try to be the best teammate I can be or whatever. But I also think there's something to be said for like not accepting the role that you have from a standpoint of, I know that I've got more to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was some of it, but yeah, it was funny. Somebody basically asked him about like, like, hey, you've sucked lately and you were good in this game. Like what was it like going through that and what helped you here? And he was like, what was I going through though? Like nothing changed. I'm good. Like I got my opportunity and there you have it. I was just kind of like, all right, man.
Listen, this is all leading up to Trevin Brazil being, we play all these teams where they have these 24-year-olds that are just around that you're like, dude, why don't you maybe Trevin's just going to stick around until he's 24 and he'll be the overqualified guy who's just balling out.
Yeah, maybe.
This might be how this Trevin Brazil story ends.
I love it.
I'd be here for it. I'd be all about it. Let's see a few more of your chats, folks. Again, we appreciate it. I know there's a lot of them coming through, so we're going to try to get to as many of them as possible. But our guy Quinn, once again, appreciate you, Quinn. He says, what's it going to take to get y'all to Nashville for the SEC tournament?
Well, I've been thinking about this, John.
Okay.
Honestly, I would start considering it if I felt really comfortable that Arkansas was not going to Dayton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we knew they kind of played their way out of Dayton, and it wouldn't be a deal where you go from Nashville Selection Sunday straight to Dayton, straight somewhere else. That's a lot, and it also costs a lot. But like if we knew they kind of played their way off of that, then it might be a little bit of a different story. We'll see though.
Mhm.
I definitely don't see myself being there like for the Wednesday games or something. But if they get there and win a couple games and you feel confident and not having to turn around and travel across the country like 2 days later, it could be worth going down there.
Well, it's also tough because if they're going to Dayton, that means their SEC tournament games are going to mean a lot. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of a weird balance where it's like it's kind of tough how it plays out.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was looking at too. Is just like it depends on what they do. If they win, I feel like if they're playing Friday and they got like a good matchup on that Friday, I think it's like, all right, you got to make some moves here. But there's nothing worse, or at least I believe there would be nothing worse than going on Wednesday night and traveling all over there, and then they lose in the first round. It's just like, cool.
Yeah,
got to really get an experience this time around. Sweet. That should be a poll question. That'd. What's worse, losing the first game on Wednesday Night Sadness and that, or losing 0-2 in barbecue in Hoover and making that trip in baseball? It'd be tough to decide.
I've done it once and I've decided I'm never doing it again.
Quinn, absolutely not. That we are not doing this. I'll give you $1,500 if need be. You won't.
More than enough, man. Do not.
Yeah, don't do that, because here's the thing too. People may not know this. May piss some people off. YouTube and Google take 30% of super chats. It sucks. I'm just saying, just keep that money.
Yeah, don't
do that. Don't do that. But we appreciate the thought, though. We appreciate the thought. But yes, I will send that crap back. I will deny that Venmo. I will not allow that to happen. But we appreciate it, man. We appreciate it.
You're not United Airlines. John's just not going to take that money.
That's right. That's right. You got to lose something of mine, and then I get it back. It's like the prodigal son coming home. You were lost and now found. We're not doing that. All right, let's go ahead and get into your SEC update presented by Rhoback. Go to rhoback.com. Use promo code HOGSBY20 to get 20% off your very first purchase. So some games transpired last night for the SEC. Arkansas definitely got a lot of the love, and rightfully so, because of some of the great game and the overtime win for that. But we'll start with the first game. Man, I think it was mentioned earlier in the show, but Auburn bounced back and looked like Auburn again, beating Ole Miss by 30, 106-76.
Sheesh.
And listen, Ole Miss is not like the greatest team. They're 19-9, 8-7, but they're a tournament team, and Chris Beard's a really good coach. So to see that happen, especially considering like Auburn, I'd say they've been playing awful, but they definitely weren't playing up to par in the previous games. That was impressive, and Janai Broom's still good. So big win and killing Ole Miss right there in that one.
That was emphatic, man. And that's it's like Auburn had been I don't know, like how motivated can you be every single game, I guess, to just keep beating the crap out of people. But like they had the Arkansas game and the Georgia game where it really started looking like maybe they're coming back down to earth, or they need to get to postseason where the stakes are higher. They put it on Ole Miss, man. That was crazy.
I saw where it was like one of the highest Ken Palm offensive efficiency games ever. It might have been the highest or something crazy like that. And this is an Auburn team that at one point was the best offense efficiency like ever on Ken Palm. So that was a good way for them to like just remind everyone that they still got it.
Yeah. I mean, and they showcased it, and they're still the best team in the country. And that was a big one there too. But another big win came for the Vanderbilt Commodores, going on the road and beating the Aggies of Texas A&M 86-84. Vanderbilt 19-9, 7-8 in the SEC. Arkansas will be facing them on the road here in the final part of the season. But what a big win for the Vanderbilt Commodores once again.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, man. I don't get it with Vanderbilt how they're able to do this, because they're they're kind of limited in some ways offensively, but man, they just got guys who are super connected and different people get it done. Like the Tyler Nickel kid, I think hit 7 threes in this game. And, he came into the game averaging like 7 points a game. And they're kind of like Arkansas, where just different guys have really been able to step up. I don't think they have a dude in their rotation that's over like 6'7", but it doesn't matter. And like they're 70 something in defensive efficiency, but then they can really turn you over and mix some things up. Like it's just, they're very well coached and they figure it out. And the biggest allegations on them is like, hey, you do this thing where you beat these teams at home, but you haven't done anything on the road. Now they went and did that. I think they're locked in. I just updated the bubble hate watch that we'll put out tomorrow. Vandy's not on it. Like I just think they're in there at this point.
Yeah. Credit to Vanderbilt, man. They're the one team that's escaped the allegations. All these other SEC teams, we've kind of poked holes and been like, they're going to fall off eventually. But them and really, I guess, Missouri. Although I think we came to the light on Missouri pretty early. But yeah, Vanderbilt, I think, they have 7 conference wins, you said.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they probably shouldn't lose out, but I think they're definitely in at this point.
Yeah. And their remaining games, they have Missouri coming up at home. Then they have Arkansas at home. Then they got at Georgia. So, they could.
I guess they could actually be in some trouble if they lose all 3 of those games.
Yeah. Well, let's just hope they lose at least one. Let's just hope that ends up happening. And also another game, which was a thriller. And as weird as it is to say this, I'm glad Kentucky won last night because they beat Oklahoma. And what was also a thrilling game, 83-82. Kentucky gets the victory. I guess that's what happens when they finally got full health and you got their players back. They can finally start winning games again.
Yeah.
But 83-82. Is it Owe? Is that how you say his name right? 28 points, 6 rebounds. Dude just took over at the end of the game and made some big plays. So, nice win for Kentucky, and it's good because Oklahoma needs to just lay down and die.
Yeah, they need to keep losing. Owe played it at Oklahoma the last couple of years, and I think he scored the last 18 points or something for Kentucky, which was crazy. That was a chippy game, and no surprise that Brandon Garrison was trying to throw hands afterwards, and then you got Owe and his former teammates yelling at each other in the handshake line. You even got a curse that came out of Mark Pope's mouth. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he
said a swear.
He said BS, and he said the full word, and that might be the first time in his life that he's done that. Somebody chucked I don't know if it was a beer or just a drink or whatever at Garrison. Like it was nuts, man.
Yeah, crazy. I wanted to show that because since you brought it up, here's the video of that.
Oh, good.
You got to look and see where the beer comes flying in. Like right there, that arrow just comes flying in.
He was not having that.
That is not the dude to throw a beer at. Trust me, I tried to do it one time when I saw him at C4, and it did not end well.
Oh man, yeah. Don't throw things at players, folks. Come on, be better than that. But yeah, it was a chippy game. And again, Kentucky got the victory. So it's good for them. And I don't know. It's just funny how a game that you don't really think would be like, oh man, and really chippy. Kentucky, Oklahoma. But there's reasons for it. And
new SEC, this is the new age, man.
I know. And if Mark Pope, man, if he doesn't settle down and watch his mouth, he's gonna owe a fortune to the swear jar. He's gonna end up paying his buyouts for that. It's sad. Like no coaches should ever cuss at their players. Come on, you don't need to do that. It's disrespectful.
Hilarious to see, like the mixture between shock and like excitement from Kentucky media members who were able to clip that and be like, "He finally did it."
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I ever want to. So here's this. I don't know if I want a coach that doesn't cuss.
No, hell no.
No, I don't think so. Oh goodness, Hubert Davis at North Carolina, who like famously just won't do it, and so he'll just hit him with the G Willikers or whatever. But
yeah. It's like The Hangover when he's saying, he's like, Alan, he's like, shh. He's like, gosh darn it, shoot. It's like just that thing. Also, I guess that was So we went through all the games from last night, and we'll see how that plays out. And again, final standings, or not final standings, but the standings after last night in the SEC. Arkansas is the only 6-9 team, so there's that. They're ahead of Texas and Georgia, who are 5-10. both. 4-11 for Oklahoma, 3-12 for LSU, South Carolina 1-14. And the teams that they're really close with, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State at 7-8. Ooh, you played both those teams. So that could really help your chances of moving up in the standings. And then Ole Miss and Kentucky at 8-7. Texas A&M at 9-6, Missouri, Tennessee at 10-5, Florida 11-4, Alabama 12-3, and Auburn 14-1. So
Florida's got 4 losses in this league.
can you believe it?
Kentucky, they
Tennessee,
lost Tennessee.
them
Somebody
once.
the other day.
Yeah, they lost to Georgia
Georgia.
Who else got
Mhm.
them?
and Missouri.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, that's right. That
You don't go
Missouri got
into
them
Como
twice.
expecting to win. You
It
just
was
don't.
actually,
Beat
it was
in
actually in Florida.
Oh,
Yeah.
What?
It was when we were at Brothers Meat House doing the LSU watch party.
Yeah.
I remember having an eye on that game. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not
So-
think they'd lost 4 games in this league.
Yeah.
It's just
But it's like their
Well-
losses have been by, it's weird because their losses was by 6 points to Kentucky on the road, 1 point to Missouri. Georgia was 5. I mean, it was really close though. But then Tennessee was 20 because they only scored 44 points in that game. Disgusting.
They also beat
Absolutely.
the Cases.
They did. Yeah.
Mhm.
They did escape all the allegations.
Really, 15-4, 16-4, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll do some what's more likely here in just a little bit, but still going to get to your chats. We appreciate everybody chatting in. We're trying to do our best to get through them all. But our guy Quinn, once again, he says, we need to show everyone who we are again. Talking about the Auburn team. He's like, people were forgetting 1.499 per possession, and we still have the highest offensive efficiency in KenPom history. So,
Still up there. Yeah. I mean, you definitely showed that to everybody there. Did they move? Did they surmount Duke? Nope. At KenPom, I thought maybe
Duke's
they
still the
would
number one overall team.
Yeah. Yeah, Duke is still the number 1 overall team by a semi-healthy margin, actually. Which I just, Duke is really good. It helps that they beat Illinois by literally 50 points over the weekend. Illinois is spiraling, but I mean that's a huge margin there for the efficiency.
Whipped up on a Miami too, and we know how good Miami is.
Yeah, yeah.
A big road win for Arkansas.
yes, huge. Let's see a few other ones here too. Our guy JP Sullivan, once again, appreciate it, says there's no other inside shows around the SEC that gets this much love. Inside Arkansas equals GOAT.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And I don't know what other folks around the league, like what their viewership or engagement or whatever looks like, but I know we're freaking really proud of ours. So shout out to y'all.
Yeah. Thank you.
I know no one inside Arkansas is getting this much love.
That is true.
Well played. Yeah, that was good.
Yep, that was good. Quinn says, I'll Venmo y'all it. No, you're not. You're not Venmoing us for that. Captain Serious Band says, so nobody's going to poke fun at Brad's turtlenecks?
All right, man. Like I saw it in the pregame before he was, blazered up. I almost texted you guys in the group and was like, okay, like I know he's a fashion sensed guy or whatever, but I'll just say this: I noticed it. Okay, I saw it. Not for me. Yeah, hey, like some guys can pull it off. I'm not the one to decide if Brad Calipari can or not, but not me.
No.
I thought he looked dapper.
It's a good word for it, dapper.
The fashion that goes on with this coaching staff is always an interesting thing.
I actually like that Brad is like, he seems to almost be leaning into it a little bit. Like he's like dressing exactly how you would expect the coach's son that's on staff to dress, frankly.
Yeah. That's true. It's true. It's also just going again from like, Mike Anderson era of where everyone was really just like, there was nothing crazy about their outfits, but they were always sharp. It wasn't like crazy colors and crazy shirts. It was always just sharp. And then Muss and them just wore, joint polos or joint quarter zips or whatever, t-shirts. And then now you got everybody wearing suits and whatnot, but they're just all over the place. Like you don't know what to expect. But I was actually really disappointed with the whiteout last night. Not because, there's parts of the whiteout, but I was hoping Cal would come out in the white suit like Rick Pitino did that one time at Louisville.
Oh, wow.
I was hoping that would happen.
Yeah.
It didn't.
That would have been something.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Cal even knew it was a whiteout? I feel like he didn't.
I bet he knew. I don't know how many. Like, I don't think there were a lot of people who just didn't wear white for the game. And I don't think it's because they were just like, I ain't wearing white, or like everybody's got something that's white. I just don't know how well that was like
Promoted.
marketed and promoted and put out there. Like I know they put it on Twitter or whatever, but you know, some people don't have that. I don't know.
Yeah. I could spend a lot of time complaining because I know, because I always do, but it's
A
just
lot of
like,
ways you could make that work a little bit better. It was good. It was okay, but it could have been a lot better.
You got to hand out white shirts. I feel like
that's what I
almost.
that's
Or
what
at
I
least
was saying.
towels or something. Yeah.
Like, yeah, well, they had white towels at the hand, but like, I think for the Auburn game is what they did is they put white shirts on every seat in the lower bowl. I'm like, that's what you should do. But,
Yeah.
and also the towels, man, I say again, I'm going to complain about this. I got one of the towels and it was the horns down symbol. The problem is there's no writing on it. So you could just turn the towel up and have horns up. Like I was like, at least put like horns down or go Hogs or something underneath so people know which one's direction. But I know I'm complaining about nonsense and no one cares, but it's just still, it's like just boils my nuggets. All right, let's keep it going here and we'll do a little what's more likely action according to BetSaracen. It's the number one sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. It's not close. Nailed that bet from last night for somebody else to hit a 3 to start the game. Thank you, Trevin Brazil. Appreciate you. But there's just one of many specials they have going on there at BetSaracen. You can check out for baseball, for basketball, and it's for every sport too, all across the entire country, across the world. You can bet on, and you can do it at BetSaracen.com or you can download the app on your iPhone or on your Android. It's BetSaracen and get to winning with the number one sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. So a few these that have got, well, I came up with, but I also had other people come up with too. So the ones that suck are definitely the ones that other people came up with. We'll start with this. What's more likely, Arkansas not to make the NCAA tournament or Arkansas to go to the Elite Eight?
I mean, I hate to say it. I really do. I think Arkansas not making the NCAA tournament is more likely, but only just because like they could lose some close competitive games here down the stretch. Whereas like going to the Elite Eight, I mean, if we're doing it like the ESPN BPI or whatever has them at like 49% to not make the tournament. I feel like that's a higher probability. No, and I agree. It's a BS metric. But even if you think it's a 30% chance, that's still probably higher than going to the Elite Eight.
I think I'd say that it's more likely Arkansas goes to the Elite Eight. I'm all in. I'm back.
I mean, I'm going to say more likely that they don't make the NCAA tournament than the Elite Eight, just under the assumption that right now you don't have a Dude Thero.
It's a good point.
You know what I mean?
For both
like
of these equations, for the fact that like these games are going to be harder, and
they
don't need them. They won last night. They don't need to do Thero. He's holding the team back. You know that Trevin Brazil got to step up, and yeah. So it's
you're
just
calling
like
him a Thero, is what you're calling him.
That's right. That's right.
I don't need him Thero, man. That's crazy.
Jeez. All right, so here's another like little twist on it, but something similar. What's more likely, the Hogs to lose the final 3 games of the regular season, or the Hogs to win the SEC tournament?
It's more likely for them to lose the final 3 games of the regular season than it is for them to win the SEC tournament.
No, I hate to say it, but I think he's right.
Yeah. I think that it's just seeing how well they're playing and thinking that they'll lose one more game. I don't know. But then at the same time, in the SEC tournament, I'm not saying they'll win it, but anything. But I don't know. Like, those things get weird if you just get a couple of breaks as far as other teams that you end up playing, like somebody gets a big upset or whatnot. It could go in your favor, but it's just a roll of the dice. And if Auburn or Alabama or even Florida, if neither of those teams win the SEC tournament, then something went crazy. Something really went haywire if that ends up happening.
If they win 5 games in 5 days with 7 players, John Calipari is the SEC Coach of the Year.
Nah,
they would need to make the entire Vice documentary just that 5 days. Just be like, what? that would actually be a more impressive accomplishment. Like it would, like obviously you'd rather go to the Sweet 16, but like that would honestly be more impressive.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be harder to do.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it would be. It absolutely would be. All right. So speaking of that, how about what's more likely, SEC team to not win the national championship or the SEC to have 3 Final Four teams?
It is more likely for the SEC to not win the national championship.
Duke, I mean, I feel like is them alone are a good enough rival to that.
There's enough good teams, like Duke's really, really good. Houston. Yeah.
Man, I just feel like if the SEC is not going to have a national champion this year, I just don't know what it's going to take. Like just one of these teams of how good they are, just one. I mean, I know it's tough to do, but sheesh, you got like 4 or 5 teams, maybe just 3, but still quite a few teams that are good enough to win a national championship.
We're basically crunching the numbers on like the percent chance of SEC having 3 Final Four teams, which I do think is, I mean, if you have 3 1 seeds, like what is it, a 25% chance or something like that? Like it's pretty high.
Mm-hmm. No, that's true. Okay, that's true.
Who do we really think the legitimate Final Four contenders in the SEC are? Auburn.
I think Auburn's for sure. Like
I think Florida is in that conversation.
Yeah,
I think Florida more than Bama.
I mean Bama. They did it last year, and it's like the same team.
Bama's dangerous in a single elimination format.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like they could get caught early, but I could also see them winning the whole damn thing.
I know Tennessee's really good, but I don't know if this is going to be the Final Four group.
No.
They might. I don't think Kentucky, no disrespect, they're not going to the Final Four either.
A&M is not going to do it. They might be a 2 seed and they'll lose in the round of 32.
Yeah, I know it'd be great. But I'm just saying like a what if, just because it'd be hilarious if Arkansas made the Final Four.
That is one word to describe it.
I would be laughing really hard in San Antonio.
Of the SEC teams, obviously those top teams have a better chance than Arkansas to make the Final Four. But how many SEC teams are you 1,000% sure have like a better chance of making the Final Four
than Arkansas?
Yeah,
I mean, I think at least
like 5 or 6.
5? At least 5, I'd say. The 3 teams we named with Bama, Auburn, Florida. I think Tennessee has a better chance of it. And honestly, as much as I hate to say it, Missouri, just because I mean they it's like the offenses that, because you could have a bad game, bad shooting night, good defense or whatever, but man, some of these offenses where they just pour it on you, I don't know, it could be pretty tough. But
if I can make a case for the pig real quick though, if Arkansas is an 8-9 seed, they would then get the 1 seed path to where like your path to the Final Four might be, you obviously got to beat a 1 seed, but then you get a 4 seed. Then maybe there's some upsets. You get a 6 seed or something like that.
I would just laugh
when we had that and it wound up being UConn in Vegas.
Yeah.
If it was any other team than UConn, though, they would have been in the Final Four. No, it's just obviously it'd be great, but just be funny at the end of the day of all the teams remain standing in the SEC. Arkansas once again. It'd just be funny. It'd be cool and awesome. But we'd be hanging out with all those big old women down there in San Antonio, as Charles Barkley always calls them. So
on the riverboat.
Yep, that's right. It's not a river; it's a creek. As
creek boat.
Yep, as Charles Barkley says. Also, all right, what's more likely, Trevin Brazile or Jonas Adu plays better consistently down the stretch? I say playing better just because it's not like saying, oh, well, one of them's going to average a double-double. Just somebody who it's like each game, you're like, all right, he's the guy. Want to see him get more minutes, all of that.
I don't know. Part of me wants to go with Trevin because I just know that he's 100% healthy. Like Adu looks really good right now, but like we've seen this, and then the dude can't move, like he can't physically function the next game or whatever. Like all things equal, I'd like to say Adu, but I just think Trevin's healthy. And he's going to get a lot of minutes and opportunity while Thero's out. And that doesn't always have to be the case with Jonas. Like if Big Z's hooping, then you might only need 12, 14 minutes out of Jonas on a given game.
I've always feel so good about my opinion when I realize Curtis shares it.
Let's go.
I obviously see the case for why you would say Jonas here, because Trevin is the most unreliable from an effort standpoint, just from a physical. Like you just don't say he might have a game where he shows up and he's got an attitude problem or whatever. He is kind of unreliable by nature. But I think that the Jonas Adu injury aspect makes this kind of like, especially with Trevin, how he played last night, that might be the push he needed. Plus, with the way he was acting at the press conference, he kind of like, he better show up down the stretch, honestly.
Yeah.
But no, I think Jonas Adu, he might wake up on the wrong side of the bed and not be able to jump. Like that's a very real possibility any given day.
That's true. I'll probably go with Brazil as well, just because of the health reasons, as you mentioned. How about this little baseball one? What's more likely, Big Aloy or Baby Aloy to lead the team in batting average at the end of the season?
I hate to say this because, well, I don't hate to say it. I mean, it's Vahiva. Like, let's keep it a buck. I know he's hitting just a measly 393 so far, and his brother's over here hitting 560. But one, like, it's such a small sample size this early in the season. Kahio Aloy is 1/4 game away from being like, right back to where he'll likely end up. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I mean, he hit 269 last year. Vahiva hit 270 last year, so it's actually a fair question to ask. But Vahiva's gonna hit over 300. Like, I'm pretty sure about that. Kahio is a very, very streaky player. Both of them are. I mean, we've seen how streaky Vahiva can be, but Kahio's younger. Kahio's gonna have a stretch here in the next couple of weeks where he probably has a few 0 for 4, 3 strikeout type of games. I would love to just live in this world where he's just going to be on a bender for the next 45 games. It's not going to happen. Like, I hate to throw cold water. It's just not how this is about to go down.
I'm doing Baby Aloy just because.
I'm sticking with Andrew.
He's on a crazy start so far.
I appreciate your transparency,
Yeah, and I mean, look, like Vahiva's also pretty streaky as well. So it's like he's going to probably have his stretch, but y'all saw how what he went through last year. I'm not saying Kahio's definitely going to go through that as well, but I think we'd be a little naive to just think he's just going to rake for the rest of the year.
Yeah, nah, he's going to. He's gonna have that Zach Cox year, just batting 400.
Hey, Kahio might just be Charlie Welch. I was thinking about that the other day. Maybe they just don't start him just so he can be Charlie Welch.
Yeah, he was good. It'd be fun for him to be that if that was the case. So, all right. Well, there you have it. There's a little what's more likely happening here on the show. We got about 10 minutes left or so, so we'll get to some of your chats, folks. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in with us. But also wanted to give a shout out to our guy Bobby Bones. We were talking about our guy Derek Garduno's GoFundMe. Bobby threw over $500 to his GoFundMe page.
Wow.
So shout out to Bobby Bones and our good friend there. So we appreciate you and appreciate everybody that's been donating because it's cool. And it's, again, for those of you just joining the show, tweet out a link for our good friend, one of our loyal listeners and watchers, Derek Garduno, who's dealing with stage 4 cancer, and he has got a GoFundMe. So really appreciate the people donating to that, and keep it up. I tweeted it out if you need the link, so just check it out that way too. So. All right, a few of your chats that we're going to get into. Let's see. Quinn's all over the place, but he says, Arkansas fans, I need y'all rooting for us against Kentucky. We haven't won in Rupp since 1988. If any team is to break that streak, it's this team. I don't think you won't have to worry about that at all. I think most Razorback fans, if not all of them, will be rooting for the Auburn Tigers in that game.
No problem. We got you.
And we'll pretend like we're doing it as a solid to you and not just because we hate Kentucky.
Yeah. Be like, all right, well, just this once, we're going to be rooting for them. So Quinn also says we closed the gap by a point. I wish we could play a Miami for a break. Duke has gotten over 10 of those.
That's why I'm not sold on Duke being, number 1 and everything. They're beating the crap out of all these teams that they're playing, which, good on them. But it almost feels Gonzaga-ish to me, to where they get into the NCAA tournament and they play a competitive game for the first time in 3 months or something. And you wonder what that looks like. How puckered are they going to be in those situations when you haven't faced it since you played Auburn or, whoever the heck it was in non-conference play. I guess they lost a league game or something to Clemson or whatever, but
you learn how to win in a war by being in the foxhole.
That's right.
And Duke hadn't been in the foxhole in a while.
Nah.
Although they did catch an L not too long ago to whoever it was, Clemson. But no, I kind of agree. I think Auburn is just going to be more battle tested, which I think is going to matter.
Yep. Also, Quinn says, depends on the seed for y'all. I'm sure this was something we were discussing earlier, but yes. Thank you, Phil, for the super chat, Quinn.
I almost want to be an 11 if you don't go to Dayton. Because the 6, you're playing a borderline top 25 team or whatever. And then I just rather would see a 3 or a 2, honestly. It just stay out of that 8-9 game. I know people always say that, but I feel like there's a pretty I don't know, like a pretty clear line between the top 3 or 4 teams in this country and the rest.
Yeah.
And like you could wind up seeing like a 2 seed Iowa State or something that's really been scuffling, or like Michigan State's coming in there and they're one of the worst shooting teams in power conference basketball. Like there are opportunities to be had in the 2-3 seed line. I don't want to do this thing where you draw Duke in the round of 32 or
facing a 6-3 is just a 6 and then a 3 is just way better than facing an 8 and then a 1.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is.
Yeah.
Especially because I mean, like Kentucky is on that 3 seed line, and I'm not even taking a shot at Kentucky, but like that's the level of team you're talking about compared to having to face Florida or Duke. You know what I mean? Like and it really would be Duke, right?
Yeah, probably so. I guess if there's I think if there's more than 9 teams from a particular league in the field, then you can have interconference matchups as soon as the round of 32, I think is what I read. So like theoretically you could see an SEC team in the second round.
I mean, if there's 3 1 seeds.
Yeah, exactly. They would try to avoid it if they could, but I just don't know how they would be able to, especially when you're going to have so many at the very top of the seed range and then so many in that 9 to 11 seed range where it's just like natural matchups. You got a ton of really good teams and a bunch of bubble teams. It's kind of the way it works out.
All right, I got a few of your chats that's happened out through the show, so we'll have to go back in time and get the context of it. But yeah, we were a few minutes late. Apparently, people wanted to let know. But our guy Garrett said fashionably late from the fellas. Understandable. Curtis was up grinding at 2 a.m. last night.
I started that at the beginning because the reason we were late was because of me. I was up grinding at 2 a.m. last night, but we do this thing where we hop on, before we start our stream and everything, and we get to talking, and then noon comes around and there's always one of us. It's like, oh, and like you bring something up and next thing you know, it's 12:03 or 12:04 before you get rolling. It was me today. Like I'll take that L.
I mean, we all play our part in that. Like as soon as the clock hits noon, we all of a sudden just have a topic that we're like, wait a minute, we have to talk about this. It just happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And also too, it's like, I have this thing I've noticed that my clock on my Roadcaster, my clock on my laptop, my clock on my desktop, and the clock on my kitchen is all different times. And I don't know how that happens. So it's like, I got to probably fix that and find out what's the real time to go. But we appreciate y'all hanging in with us for that extra couple minutes until we went live. Because Trey comes in there and says, John's just wrapping up snorting his booger sugar. Yeah. Okay, Trey.
It's gracious. Come on, man.
Relax. Yeah. He bailed last night. You wanted a picture with me. I went through I went up those stairs to get a picture with you, and you didn't do it. So you don't get to say nothing.
You got big time.
I know. Funny. Seriously. I was up there again, looking like an idiot, being like looking around on my phone. Oh, I hope he shows up. Yeah, that was weird. Felt like I got stood up on a date. Our guy Case was just dropping bars. He was saying Big Z stands for Zequil because he's a cold killer. So people were really impressed by that.
Yeah,
apparently, in the beginning.
Case is always good with the wordplay.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Let's see. What this from David? He says, even Goodman had positive things to spray.
That was just a banger of a comment, first of all. I love that. And at first I was like, oh, like autocorrect. No, that's actually very clever. Good job. I caught it. But yeah, did you see Goodman put on the Razorback hat when he was talking about Arkansas last night?
I knew he had that hat. Look, good for him. They always will tweet it out too. Sometimes,
right.
Like whenever they're like, "Hey, we got good things to say."
Yeah, he was wearing a Kentucky hat at a different point in the show. In fairness, but you love to see it.
Would you maybe call that pandering?
Yes,
just a little bit. Nobody does that in the media. Let's see. Also, where was it out? Chaston Hunt. Hope I'm saying that right. Says Rodney Terry is not a good coach to brag about out coaching. LOL.
I don't think it had anything to do with Rodney Terry.
No.
I think you go into it with the expectation that you outcoach Rodney Terry. I think it's just Cal coached a very good basketball game. Like it was more about him and what he did with his team, I thought.
Yeah,
but no parades for outcoaching Rodney Terry. What I'm saying is I agree with you.
he just happened to be the coach Arkansas played last night. It's not like it's like, hey, Cal dialed it up against Rodney Terry. He dialed it up in a game that Arkansas needed to win.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. Like if you could have said about Trey Johnson last night. It's
Same
just
thing.
like, But it's just Arkansas. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't matter. If you're going out there scoring 39 points and hitting 7 of 12 from 3, I don't care who you're playing. Like, that's incredible. That's impressive. So it just doesn't matter.
What if what if Malik Thomas was just like wound up being that guy? I mean, I knew everybody expected Trey Johnson to be really good, but I don't know that they expect him to be this good right away. Like, how cool would that be for Arkansas to have a guy like that? Because they've had some good freshmen. Like, Anthony Black was great, but it was different than that, right? Moses Moody was awesome. It was different than that. Like, could they have that guy?
I mean, what they showed the graphic a few times last night. I think there's only been 4 freshmen leading scorers in the SEC. Brandon Miller being the most recent. I think Cam Thomas scored like there's not been that many freshmen.
Yeah.
Obviously, Trey Johnson is probably going to do it this year. I mean, after last night, he certainly will. But like it's not a long list of true freshmen who have led the SEC in scoring. And it would be cool to have someone like that.
Yeah, it would be cool, but he still won't be NBA ready.
No.
So, no.
Yeah,
he's-
Trey Johnson will go 4 for 14 in his next game, and there will be some Texas fan who's like, I think he needs to fill out his frame a little bit, hit the weight room for a summer, and then come back.
Yeah. And then our guy Dre says, also, can we talk about the ref yelling at the score table? Do we have a problem here? Super weird. I didn't see that. I don't know what that's.
Oh, I need some context to this.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely some heated discussions happening in front of the scores table among coaches and everybody, especially seeing little Frank Haith out there looking like Donald Duck having a conniption fit.
I know Okaywood got caught shouting out something, a call he didn't like at one point.
Dude, like those times when I've sat around there and heard K-Wood yelling out there, I'm like, man, I'm going to laugh. It won't happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen. But it would be really funny if he got a technical for the Arkansas bench. If K-Wood's just like, call both ways, ref. And just, you're
K-Wood gets tossed. That'd be great.
I would die, man. Yeah, Dre's just saying he was losing it at the score table. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it was about, but hopefully they got it settled. Also, shout out to this. I think one of you guys started this. Shout out to Seth. He says, my wife and I just announced that we are having our first child. Whooping Suey. Man,
congrats.
Something's in the air, boys. A lot of kids being born in this chat.
It's not lost on me that, our female section of the demographic goes up, and then all of a sudden all these babies are being made in the chat.
Yeah.
Maybe it's our soothing voices. We're the jazz. We're the mood setters,
I'm just gonna get in trouble for saying this because I'm like, if any of y'all end up conceiving a child while we're playing in the background,
that's shameful.
Like, I don't know how I'll feel about it, but I also won't hate it.
Now that I
get a no ball.
Yeah, now that I think about it, listen to the recorded, like afterwards. Don't do the in the moment. That's strange. Forget everything I said. Let's move on.
I'd had questions, man. I'd had so many questions. Jeez. Let's see. Our guy Harold says, my wife and I were dating. She was watching the O State game with me. I think we decided to marry me when she saw the pain that I was in. About the Oregon State game. So yes, that's fair.
That's a great comment there.
I could be wrong, but at the risk of my memory, I think it was Harold that had a funny comment earlier, right after John was talking about boiling his nuggets. And then he just dropped in there and said, in dog water. And I think the two are connected. I just want you to know that if it was you that said it, I thought that was very funny. If it was somebody else, well, kudos to you. Anyway.
By the way, I do think I don't know about y'all, but I've had that experience at least twice in my life where you're dating a girl and it's early on and she's kind of endeared by how much you love sports. And she's like, oh, wow, you get, super into this. Like, it's kind of cool. And then it gets uncool really quickly. And I'm like, no, you think it's funny. Like, it's really not that funny. When they lose, I'm going to be really sad. And then I'm not going to talk to you the rest of the night. And then when it happens, they're like, they're having fun when it's 3-0. You're 3-0. And then you drop a game to A&M and Austin Allen gets sacked 20 times. And all of a sudden I, just get on the roof and start drinking. Like, I told you that was going to happen, and then all of a sudden it's a problem.
Also, a few more here. This is from BTC says, why wouldn't you accept it? We want y'all there covering. He's talking about Quinn wanting to do $1,500 to do that because that's not really what we are striving to be. And again, it's about, we appreciate it. Like, we really do and everything, but we just don't want to ever become a company and also become a content where it's like that's what we want and have, and we do things and we approach things to try to get people to do that for us. If you want to get, I feel this is going to sound religious on y'all, but if you ever go to like what the church I always grew up in, when the contribution trays would get passed around, it's the same thing. It's like, this is not a solicitation of our visitors, but if you desire to give, you may do so. It's the same thing here. We're not soliciting anything from you at all.
Yeah.
We never will. But if you desire to give, you may do so. And that's what we need to have it. And that's what it's always going to be. So it's just that $1,500 that Quinn, which again, much appreciated. It's not necessary. So that's why.
Yeah, buddy, you've done enough to this point to where we could go to Nashville if we needed to, based on what you've already given so generously. So, we appreciate you. But John, you said that very well. Like, I can't even put any more words onto that. So
yeah. Exactly. St. Luigi says, listening to Inside Arkansas after a Hog victory makes me feel like Charles Bronson in a Mandem commercial. I don't want to Google that. I don't know what that means, but okay. We'll figure that out maybe one day. Camo Gang also says basketball and baseball natty same year versus one football natty.
This was during what's more likely. And so I'm wondering if he was asking what's more likely. I don't know. I mean, I probably the football natty realistically, just because just hard to win a natty in two sports at the same time. If you want to ask which one I'd rather have happen, without a shadow of a doubt, the basketball and baseball one.
Oh yeah. Give me two.
I'd trade every single football win for like a decent Trevin Brazil game tomorrow or Saturday.
Well, I don't know about that. Let's not get crazy here, but yeah.
I'll lose to A-State in football if I can get 12-6 out of Trevin on Saturday. That's what I'm at.
Oh man!
Wow,
so he's wanting to sell his soul for all
good
of that.
Good on you, man.
Okay. And now I got something bad going on apparently, because now I got Trey mixed up again with somebody else.
Dude, he's been on this.
Says, hey John, just letting you know I was not at the game last night and I don't have Twitter. So you're telling me, because I'm going to find this person that was tweeting at me. They are literally Trey Harrison, and I think that's what it was. It's not Trey in Harrison, it's Trey Harrison. That's like the guy's name.
It's wild. You just been dragging our man for the better part of an hour now, and
yeah.
Well, hey, you'll be all right. It's fine. It's all in good fun. All right, Trey.
It's pretty good, man.
Jeez, man. I'm glad you told me now that I can mix it up a little bit, so I know it's not that person. Sheesh. Hey, our guy Mark's in the chat.
Yes, he is.
Appreciate you, Mark.
We got a couple from Mark.
Yeah, he says tough road ahead. The Dogs make it with just a win over Mississippi State.
Yes, I mean, I think so. If you go run the numbers at and by the way, you want to listen to the Pod at the Palace tomorrow, because we're going to be doing a lot of this. But if you go run the simulators, like one win moving forward, and at least that algorithm thinks that you've got a pretty good shot of making it still. It would just all depend on one, like kind of what other teams around you did, and then two, in those conference tournaments with those smaller leagues where they might have an at-large bid anyway, you don't want bid stealers, because that's what could bump you out. And so you have to really pay attention to that. If it's just South Carolina, the only win that you get the rest of the way, like you're really probably needing to get a win or so in Nashville. But if it's Vandy or Mississippi State, that increases your odds. You feel a little bit better about it, but you're still going to be kind of sweating. If they just beat Mississippi State, I would probably be in the camp of, hey, win the first one in Nashville and then you're a lock.
Dude, it's going to piss me off whenever Arkansas loses, either combination of Vanderbilt or Mississippi State, and they get actually docked for it, because we see all these other teams that are losing to, like Texas losing to Arkansas, who is like right on the same bubble with them, and they don't get docked at all. So if Arkansas loses on the road against Vanderbilt, or even at home by 2 to Mississippi State, it's like we've seen all these other teams lose conference games and not get docked. So it's like a weird way where, like, wouldn't the South Carolina game be like the worst possible loss Arkansas could have, though? Like, would that be the loss that would dock them more?
One would think, although it helped Texas, but yeah, it's for sure. And it's such a weird deal. I'm just still uncomfortable with it, because like leading up to the game, right, you will see a lot of those, like the bracketology dudes on Twitter or whatever, and it's like, hey, 2 more wins for Arkansas, and boy, they're locked in. And then they beat Texas, and it's like, wow, just a huge bubble win for Arkansas against Texas. If they go 2-1 now in these final 3, they're locked. And it's like, why are we changing the math every time Arkansas wins a damn game? Well, I mean, what's going on here?
Good win over South Carolina. Now if you can, you can split these games or whatever. Yeah.
And Mark also says YouTube has a $500 limit over 24 hours, so I can't give today. Maybe we need to talk about a sponsorship. Really enjoy what you guys are doing. Yeah. Well,
we've been trying to talk to you about that.
I know, Mark. Mark, you've been tougher to contact than anybody, and it's not on you. It's just funny because we want to say do things for you and what you've done for us. But I tell you what, we'd love to talk to you about a sponsorship. We'd love to talk to you more and helping and supporting us and us supporting you. So just shoot me an email at john@insidearkansas.com and we'll get to talking, man. We appreciate you though. We really do. And we appreciate your support and everybody. I mean, this has been great. This has been awesome. And we've had fun doing the show. We have fun doing what we do. And we're glad that so many of you enjoy it as well, because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. But all right. Quinn. Jeez, Quinn. All right. It says y'all could lose your next 2 games and beat Mississippi State, and Torvik still has y'all as a 10 seed.
I like Torvik. I like the way Torvik thinks.
Yeah.
Need that.
Yeah. I'm a big Torvik guy too.
Big Bart guy.
Yeah. Big Bart. All right. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
A couple.
Okay.
One, I don't know if anyone cares, but they always comment if they see like a different background or whatever. I'll be on the show tomorrow and doing everything Saturday or whatever. I'm going to be in St. Louis, like going back home to visit my dad and some family. You're just going to see me in a different setting. That's all. So I just wanted to say that. And traveling also in the morning, it's a pretty lengthy trip. I don't anticipate any issues, but like if I'm a little late or whatever, that's why. So eyes out on that. Saturday for the game, though, I just want to go ahead and throw it out there now. It is a road SEC game that we aren't at, which means it's watch party time. We had a lot of fun with that for A&M. I know Andrew's really enjoying that with Bombastic on those midweek games and stuff. Doing it for a nooner against South Carolina, and I'm requesting the attendance of all of you because there is a baseball game at 2:00. So like at some point, Andrew's going to have to go and get down to Bomb. No, John's got some crazy Mardi Gras stuff going on. So he'll be in there and he's got a dip. For a lot of the time, it's just going to be me and you guys. So please join me for that. Be on the lookout for it. We're definitely going to be doing it. And
it times out well for fans watching too. If you're at home and you're watching basketball and baseball, the basketball, it won't really overlap. For me, going to Bomb, it kind of overlaps a little bit, but it's really like it works out pretty well where you can watch the watch along, watch the basketball game, and then it goes right into baseball.
Yeah, no, it works out well for sure.
Andrew, any final thoughts?
Oh, no final thoughts. Just listen to the Bombastic Podcast, the best freaking baseball show ever.
It's true. It's true. People are saying. But yes, we appreciate all of you. Appreciate you tuning in for us and everything. It's a lot of fun. And again, we appreciate all the support and everything. And can't wait to see what the next few weeks hold. The weather's getting nicer. Baseball season's getting revved up and basketball's getting into the nitty gritty of the most important parts. So you need to keep it right here at Inside Arkansas because we're going to have it all for you each and every day. So again, thank you for everybody that's listening in and watching in. Be sure to subscribe to us here on Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. Be sure to also subscribe wherever podcasts are found for Inside Arkansas Live, as well as the Bombastic Podcast, as well as the Pod at the Palace. You'll be able to get it there. Check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information. And follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel, tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.